So basically we're going to do some demos on the Fedrigoni C50 Ultimate Slide and Tack. It's a new product by Fedrigoni. Say new, it's not new as in it's only come out yesterday, it's been around for a while now, but we're doing quite a big push on it. The material itself is a fantastic product. The adhesive system on it works differently to most other products on the market. This meaning it's a heat activated product rather than a pressure activated. Conventional materials, obviously with the pressure activation, the more pressure you put on it, the more you activate the adhesive. Obviously the air channels close and then that's it activated, okay? What we've found with this, with it being a heat activated, you apply it in the same manner, although once you have completed the install, you can remove it, reposition it if you want to, without damaging any of the adhesive cells because it is not activated, okay? I will go into more detail, but I'm just going to skim the surface on it at the moment. What we mean by activating the adhesive is any exposed edges would need to be activated to between 40 and 50 degrees before it leaves and goes outside. That does not mean that you have to go over the entire car, because that's going to take a long time, okay? The benefit that we get from this is it's a faster install due to the flight technology in the adhesive, so the Ultimate Slide and Tack. We get a faster install. On the laminates, we've got a lower surface friction, which means it glides a lot faster. Our install times also improve because we're not getting any resistance from the film, okay? When it comes to activating the edges, like I say, it's only the outside edges, but we would normally activate those edges without even realising when we're going over our normal wrap with the heat gun anyway, to ensure that we've got no air behind it. Activation temperature is between 40 and 50 degrees, so it's very minimal. It's not a post-heat temperature, so it's key to remember that. Activation temperature is separate to post-heat temperature, okay? Post-heating, we do exactly the same as we would do with any other product, okay? Deep recesses, any areas of extreme tension, we would use a post-heat, okay? 90 degrees is the post-heat temperature, slightly lower than some of the competitors on the market, saving you a little bit of additional time again, okay? If we was to drop it, or it does do that sometimes, and we have to fight it, pulling it all apart, yeah? It doesn't damage the adhesive cells when we're pulling it apart. Albeit, there's a lot of creases and that in there now. With a little bit of heat, they'll all go. Because it's not damaged the adhesive cells, it doesn't leave the little glue lines that you get sometimes. The glue lines that we normally see with the activation, the pressure activated adhesives, is because when you separate it, you get fiberization of the adhesive. So it folds over on itself, you end up with double the amount on one side, none on the other. No matter how much you heat that and try and push it out, they won't go, okay? You'll all know that from installers if you've seen that before. With this, because the adhesive is not activated, that doesn't happen. So we can screw this up into a ball, and we'll do this as a demonstration with some of you afterwards if you want to see that actually work. You can screw it up into a ball, pull it out, heat it, and it goes back flat again once it's applied, okay? So it's a key benefit with it as well. Again, how much it sort of flights on the vehicle. You can see it's very low initial tack, okay? So repositionability, it's pretty good with it, all right? So I'm just going to apply that bit in the middle now. I'll heat it, I'll pull it around here, and these are done on latex, I believe, yeah, so just so that you're all aware. So this is done on a latex rather than a solvent. Even though it's done on a latex rather than a solvent print still doesn't discolour anywhere near as much as what we've noticed with other materials. My car's a good example of that, which is at the back, which again, we can show you all sort of individually at the end when you're looking around the wing mirrors and areas like that, which is under a lot of tension. There's no distortion, no whiting out of the inks or anything like that, and that is all done in solvent as well. All right. All the creases and that we said about to start with, they will all go quite easily. So just be able to see, obviously, all of those creases that we did have, they will all sit nice and flat now. We can go over that with a bit more heat and they will all completely flatten out, okay? So again, at the end, we can all sort of have a look around those once it's all laid flat, all right? Now that's all applied and it's all laid down quite nicely, I'll show you how easy it is to reposition it again, even though that's now applied. It's as easy as that, okay? So that adhesive is not damaged in any way. So now we can reuse that, go again, if we make a mistake, if we get any creases or anything like that, and we want to reposition it, okay? We all know it happens sometimes, and there's nothing worse than doing a van recess, going to chase the air out at the end, and then you end up with a load of wrinkles and creases. I see a few of you smiling, so we all know, we've all been there, yeah? So that's what we want to avoid. The beauty of this, because of the low friction on the laminate, and as like I say, it's almost like a wet application, it makes it a lot faster to slide all of the air out once you have done a van recessed area. So you've got less likelihood of gathering and creases and things like that. If you do start to get anywhere where it's starting to build up anywhere and it's looking like it is going to go for a crease, using a bit of heat on that, you can take that tension back out again. It's got inbuilt tension into it, so it's quite nice to actually shrink back if you want it to. Doesn't mean that it's unstable and it's going to shrink back naturally as it is, okay? What it means is if we're going to do a bumper and we want to shrink that back nicely, instead of having to put more tension into it, we can actually use that to our advantage, okay? Also for lining up and things like that, if we need to line any areas up, we're not quite there, then we can also use that to our advantage, okay? One of the other benefits with this is how much you can stretch it without any distortion. I'll just lay that down so that we can obviously see where that is falling at the moment, which is obviously round about there, okay? Not that I would ever advise anybody to actually take it to that limit, of course, this is for demonstration purposes only. But you can see how consistent the colour remains, okay? So the colour remains consistent right the way through that, even though that's stretched 40%, 35, 40% maybe, yeah? We would never take it that far, like we say. But you can see how consistent the colour stays. Also, because we've stretched it that far, the adhesive would thin on any other product. That is why we wouldn't say leave it like that, okay? If we was to stretch that and then we needed to pull it back, we can easily get bruising within the ink, okay? Because the ink would separate under the tension, all right? The beauty of this, I'll just borrow my assistant for a moment. Can you just hold that corner around, just that one corner, if you just pop round that side so people can still see. If you just hold it where it is without any tension, all right, I'm just going to let it come back on itself, all right?
Yeah, cool.
So once that's cooled out, we're back to our original form again, okay? And we've still not got any ink distortion anywhere, all right? So it's very easily recoverable if we are to overstretch it anywhere, okay? It's very easy sometimes to overstretch it, put your fingers through it, things like that, and you get whiting out, and you've got to heat it, pull it back. With this, it's very difficult to get that, so it's another positive with it, okay? The other side of it, if you're doing a full colour change, but it's got to be a specific colour, and you've got to overstretch on corners and things like that where you've got to marry up from one panel to the next, it's very easy to get that colour distortion between the two. That's obviously not what the customer wants. Because we can take this material a lot further before it will discolour, makes it a lot easier for marrying up panel to panel where we've got a lot of distortion on edges and corners and things like that. Okay? It's another key benefit to it. Again, activation of the adhesive has not yet taken place. So that is still repositionable. We can lift that, move that to wherever we want and re-go with it, okay? So it's another key benefit to it. Anything we like as far as moving it around, the low slide and tack, so the low surface energy on the laminate as well, makes it a lot faster for installation, okay? Key benefits to it. Has anybody got any questions? Want to see sort of anything else with it? Have a go. Anybody? No? Right, I'll grab this other piece then, and then we will go over it. So the other thing that we've got, so if you noticed on this, there's the wing mirrors that are both wrapped on this. One's matte, one's gloss. Thank you very much. So the matte and the gloss are the self-colour Fedrigoni Ultimate Wrap Film, okay? That's what's being launched while we're here. So this is a completely new product to the market, okay? What we get with the gloss colours is a poly capping sheet, which is how we can keep the gloss levels. If you keep that one. We've got the same adhesive system as what we have on the print, okay? What we can do with that while we still have the capping sheet on is apply it to any areas such as that, which is fairly flat. The capping sheet is not conformable, okay? It's not like other materials on the market, shall we say, okay? But what that does mean is it protects the print whilst we apply it, okay? So that shows how far we can sort of take it whilst that capping sheet's on. The capping sheet gives you the ability to keep the high gloss levels like that, okay? So as we can see, the gloss is really poignant, okay? Really, really high gloss levels on it. That's because of this, okay? We've got the same here with the wing mirror. It's exactly the same colour that we've done here. So the amount of stretch, again, that's in one piece. You can all have a look around once we've done. All in one piece. The conformability of it and the slideability because of the adhesive is fantastic, okay? It's exactly the same principle as it is with the printed version where you have to use heat to activate it, okay? Again, that's only relevant to the exposed edges. It's not going around the entire vehicle, okay? What you save in time on application and you then use for the activation side of things, you should still be slightly faster on install than with all of the materials, okay? The matte product is, again, the same adhesive system. The biggest benefit that I've seen with the matte product is it doesn't gloss out very easily, okay? It's quite hard to gloss it out. Now, I've stood there in front of it with the heat gun about 2 inches away from it at 180 degrees, and it remained the same. It did not gloss out, okay? There are areas on that wing mirror that you can have a look at yourself. You can see how much tension that wing mirror is under from going from that flat round to all the full side, okay? There is no glossing out on that matte product at all, okay? So another key benefit to it. What that means, obviously, for us as an installer, when we come to corners and tight edges, we can get a bit of pre-stretch into there, tuck it round, shrink it back, and we don't get that line that we do with other materials, that line where it kind of starts to go a little bit satin, yeah? This eliminates that. No idea how, I'll be honest with you, but it works, okay? That's the main thing, all right? I do the fitting, I tell you the technical bits that I know. I don't know that bit, but it's a good feature, okay? It means that we as installers can get a better finish of product for our customer, all right? And we don't get that glossing out, all right? Another really good feature with it, okay? Have we got any questions on that one? No? Anybody want to come and have a go? We've got quite a lot of different samples and things like that. And see what it's like. You're itching to have a go, I can tell. I can give you a squeegee, you can have a go. Yeah, go on then. You've got the capping sheet on there as well, so you can have a go and feel what it's like with the capping sheet on. Obviously have an apply with that on. Yeah. Take it off, see what it's like, see what you feel like. Obviously heat guns there, give it a bit of stretch, give it some pull. You know, have a go at doing the wing mirror again if you want, whatever, it's up to you. Yeah. Have a play. Just don't worry, nobody's watching. Okay.
Yeah, no pressure. Cheers, mate.
I only did this so that I can have a break. I can just let somebody else take over now. You see, it's really low surface friction in it, so you've got quite a lot of manoeuvrability with it.
So once the capping sheet's off,
once the capping sheet's off,
between the two,
no,
no. Don't try it like.
That's it. And there's no residual left over either. It's not like you're going to sort of do 5 or 6 squeegee strokes and then end up with your squeegee getting quite, you know, you can get somewhere it picks up quite a lot of residual off of that capping sheet, but there isn't anything that's on there.
Nice fit.
That's the thing. And the other bonus of that is, although we've taken the capping sheet off of that now and you're using the squeegee, pass it here. You can see you're not getting the swell marks or anything in there.
No.
That's it. Yeah. It does take a little bit of getting used to as far as from a mental point of view, and what I mean by that is, to start with, when you're applying it, because it sort of feels so low in surface grab, you start thinking, am I going to walk away from this and it's going to be on the floor in the morning? Yeah. It does take a while to get your head around that, because once you have fitted it and it's activated, that is where it will stay, okay? My car's been on for a year now and it's not moved, you know, and it's fantastic, you know, and it's one of those products where you do need to use it a few times, you do need to get a bit of confidence when using it, but once you have got to that point and you have got that confidence with it, it's fantastic. I would rather use this all day long than other products, you know. I mean, if you got, you know, see what that's like to pull back up again, you know, we'll maybe cut it in half, see what it's like from conformable point of view, give it a bit of heat, give it a pull.
Comes off right, doesn't it?
Yeah. Repositions quite nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can feel once you've got that little bit of heat, you can sort of feel how soft it becomes, how nice it is to work with. Yeah.
The air release is pretty good.
So even though that's still quite warm,
yeah, the air release
it
doesn't
comes. That's it, yeah. And that's what I was saying. So when it comes to like the van recesses, same principle with that. Obviously, we can quite easily get gathering when you've got a pressure-activated adhesive because the initial tack is quite strong. When you've got the airflow adhesive that's on this and it's a heat-activated, that initial tack is quite low, which means it remains quite rigid under application. So when you're chasing out those air channels, it's less likely for it to bunch. I say less likely, it doesn't mean it's impossible. You know, it can happen, but when they start to bunch and you sort of get in like an area like this, you can see that with a little bit of heat, you can sort of take that tension out of them. So once we've let that cool, that will sit down quite nicely.
Yeah.
It's the same with the C50. It will sort of pull back quite nicely, yeah? So you can take that tension out of it without worrying about getting any creases. And there's nothing worse than doing a full van recess and then you're having to get your arm in and give it a flick, or, you know, get a thin ruler. You know, we've all been there, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Spot on.